you didn't initially gravitate to country music at first. When did you open up to country music in your songwriting?
Well, I think initially I definitely was into country music when I was a kid. You know, I grew up on it. My mom was a songwriter. She played guitar and sang country songs, but through my teen rebellious years, I just
thought it was your parents' music.
Absolutely. Thank you for helping me there. But that's exactly what it was. And I've had a band for a long time that was sort of a aggressive teenage rock and roll band, and then really I moved to Nashville for a job, and I started to go down to Lower Broadway there, which is the tourist strip, but there was just, BR 549 was playing down there. There was a band called the Connoisseurettes. Those legendary Shack Shakers were down there, and you can't deny that that's just wonderful, incredible music, and I loved it, and it just really brought country, especially classic country, kind of back into my life. And it turned me on to rockabilly music too there, and when I first started playing the bass, it was actually, rockabilly and country.
Right. The Amy and Gabe.
Yeah. Oh, baby. Yes, that's right.
So, and now I wanted to ask you about that, about when you started playing the bass. You described it as not being as much of a challenge as playing guitar, which is kind of shocking, considering the size of the instrument, and also, how difficult it might be to master, and how intimidating some people might think it is to actually try and get something artful out of it.
I didn't know any better, I guess. I think that I was always just way too social to learn the guitar with any kind of real confidence. Yes, confidence. But really with the guitar, I never really got any good at it. I'm functional on the guitar as far as using it to write songs with. I know the cowboy chords, but I never got any good at it, and I didn't really enjoy playing it live. The band that I was in before, it was a sort of an aggressive rock band. I fronted with a microphone in my hand, and I liked being able to dance around the stage and be very theatrical. So I felt like the guitar sort of took away from that for me. The bass, however, is like dancing with somebody. It's a prop, it's a crutch. It's it's fun. It's fun to have that on stage. A guitar or an electric bass, you're strapping this anchor around your neck.
It ruins your posture.
Yeah, I don't enjoy I brought the electric out for a while, but it was it's like I don't feel like it's ergonomically correct.
It doesn't feel like a partner.
For me. Yeah, it's this, and this is not this.
Right. Right.
It just didn't suit me, and the upright just suited me right away. I really liked it.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. You described the music, your earlier music. You said it was more aggressive, and people have described it as punk, and you said it was more like art rock.
I did that to myself. I made the mistake of calling it a punk band, and that was just really pretty much probably not giving my audience or the people listening when I was saying that credit enough to understand that it was something other than Americana music. You know what I mean? Thank you. Because it was not just, it wasn't punk. I mean, there were changes in time signatures. It was very, very crafty music, very highly crafted music. It wasn't a punk band. We were really serious.
And and for the audience at home, the name of the band, as I know, but
it was Last Minute.
Right.
But before it was Last Minute, before we landed on that name for sure, it was briefly God's Chew Toys. Briefly, it was Three Janitors and a Home Rider. There were some other terrible ones.
And now y'all were together for 6 years, and never put out anything officially, but there are demos you've talked about. How much have any of these demos resurfaced or are threatening to resurface at this point?
Actually, I have one cassette tape of Last Minute that's called And Bingo Was a Baby. It was one, we made 500 copies of that. Maybe not even that many. That might even be more than we actually made. That, we were, at the time, I finished high school north of Detroit in a really small town. They all got circulated, sold, and probably destroyed. I don't know. But I do have my one cassette of that. But what there is most of, my sister, she is now married to the bass player of Last Minute.
Okay.
They've been together 15 years. But Mike and Brandy have a lot of video footage that they collected just from random gigs and things that we've done that exists. But I don't know how much I really. I mean, I'm actually very proud of the music of that band.
Yeah, because you said you listened to it and you really liked it.
Yeah, it was actually recently that I had pulled it out to show the new band members, Joe and George, just where I've come from, and I was like, damn, we were good. I mean, you'd think we were kids, but heck, we were together 6 years, and we were really a great band. It was a great band.
Well, we'll have to keep our eyes open to see. Now, speaking of things that are coming out, your new EP or newest EP has different arrangements, or a different arrangement of one of the songs on
Washing Machine is
right.
also on Anchors and Levels. Yeah.
And how much is that sort of a forecast of where you're going with your newer
Honestly,
stuff that's coming out?
It's not. I thought it was. Things have evolved so much as far as my idea of what this next record is going to be, because so many things have changed.
Mm-hmm.
But performing with Steve Selvidge and Paul Taylor, we played together for 2.5 years, and the Steve's guitar playing specifically, the aesthetic is so rock and roll and so fun, and Paul is such a creative player. He really pushes, and so just the live show had so much energy of a different kind, and I was loving it and enjoying it so much, and so it was even changing the way I was writing, because I wanted to be able to keep up this energy on stage. I liked it. And then of course, Steve gets this wonderful opportunity to go play with a band called the Hold Steady, which is a much bigger, better gig than what I could offer at this point. And so, with my blessing, absolutely, I was excited for Steve to take that opportunity. Paul and I dated for years. We separated and decided that maybe we weren't going to be able to play together for a while. And very quickly, he was able to get a gig with Chuck Prophet, and I was pretending I wasn't panicking, and very quickly the City Champs started to play with me. So to make a long story short, what they've brought to the table is something so much more, it's controlled, it's got this really interesting, just what they do even to the material without even really playing it differently, just the spirit that they're bringing to the table.
Sort of how they wear the suit, kind of.
Absolutely, it's more controlled. There's just this restraint that I'm loving. It's not, and specifically with Joe Restivo's approach to the guitar. He's got a jazz background, and it's just his touch is so different. And so, just use the colors of paint that I have. Changed how I feel about what I want the record to be, because these are the people that I'm going to tour the new material with, and so I want the material to suit the players that I'm,
sure.
lucky enough to be playing with.
Sure, and
so
how much of any upcoming stuff that you're planning on putting out, or we'll be able to hear
tonight?
Tonight, yeah.
I think that I'm playing at this point maybe only 3 tunes that are going to be recorded on the new record, and we've only really been playing in the last 3 or 4 shows. But we have a show back in Memphis on June 30th. That is it's something I'm working really hard on. We're going to play actually most of the material that I'm going to be recording in July. And I have a string section and a horn section and an organ player and a lot of just a handful of incredible musicians from Memphis that are going to come out and support the show with me. It'll be pretty self-indulgent. I'm really excited about it.
Well, it might also turn out to be really grand too, and a really great introduction to the new music.